So to start off, we got this unavoidable cutscene here. And first thing you might notice is the English is just a little bit botched in the Japanese version. So this level's actually pretty short, just gonna kill a bunch of things. I guess I can say the difference between Japanese and US, besides the incredibly botched text, which is also hilarious. The sword that Luna, the main character, has does double the damage in Japanese. And Luna also takes half the damage that she would take in the US version. Really good RNG at the start, that's cool. So yeah, Act 2, Vanity Castle. Guess what the actual name is? Castle Vanity. So why they mixed up those two words, I have no idea, but... A unique thing in this game is to dash or to run, you need to double tap the D-pad instead of just holding the face button like a lot of other games. I think some fighting games or something have similar mechanics, but this one's the same deal. This level's also pretty empty for the most part of enemies and stuff, but like look at the background and just listen to the music, it's so amazing. For all the greatness though, there is one very major problem with this game, and that's, well, the general hitboxes. The hitboxes are rather bad, to say the least. It's very hard to deal with enemies and things. So you see I already took 2 knockbacks. Someone's revving it up outside. I stopped my timer, crap. There we go. Fortunately, live split keeps the time actually running when you undo it. Yeah, this is Babylon. This is where things really start getting tricky and pretty technical. Okay. This screen here is pretty difficult. Oops. Oops. Yeah, see, those 2 mistakes there were because the shockwaves didn't leave the screen just quick enough. So I pretty much get bodied by these enemies. And if you get bodied by really anything in this game, like, you're pretty much done for. It's really hard to get past an enemy once you take knockbacks from them. It can be very brutal. Alright, so I got a perfect first phase here. The second phase, as long as I time these. that'll go well. And then last phase. This phase can be pretty annoying, because ideally you want the mermaid to come out of the water like that as often as possible, just because the sword does more damage. I split again. There we go, undo split. Nice. Thank you, Live Split, for remembering the time. Saved me twice already. This is Valhalla, another very tricky level. You see these flying things. They're very, very hard to avoid. Just like this. That was actually pretty good other than that, though. This is pretty tricky here. Oh, didn't get it. There's a pretty small window there to slash the enemy, go through it, and then be able to get to the top of the ledge. I didn't explain the slashing through enemies mechanic yet. When you slash an enemy and go through them, they have a 16 frame invincibility window. And you would think that's pretty lenient, but with the hitboxes in this game, see, look at this. Not very lenient at all. Everything is pretty tight. So this little invincibility thing I use gets me past these enemies, because the only way to damage these enemies is to slash them when they bring themselves out. And I took one extra damage, so I have to wait for that one. Take that invincibility. And go on to this boss. So this boss is actually based on a global timer for the whole entire level, but the level is way too difficult to do consistently every single time, so I'm still not gonna know where this boss spawns every time. But if you theoretically could do this level perfect every time, then you would be able to judge these bosses' patterns, but unfortunately this speedrun is very difficult. I honestly kind of underestimated it when I first saw it. And this level right here, this is the bane of everything in the world. Look at this lag, dude. Look at this. There's also these ice particles that drop that you will probably see me get caught by one. So I want to make sure this cycle is good, because there's spikes. There's spikes underneath there. This is what I'm talking about with the knockback. If you get knocked back by anything, you're like pretty much done for. Let's see, am I gonna get iced? Yep. Alright. Get iced up. Am I gonna keep this all the way to the boss? That would be really good. Come on. Oh, I did it. Nice. Wow, okay. So I'm gonna have one extra invincibility than I usually do, which is really, really good. Nice. I also didn't explain something going into this level, but if you crouch at the end there, the game kind of like remembers Luna's hitbox. So you have the crouching hitbox for the entire next level. This music is so good, I'm not going to talk until it's over, so enjoy it. So yeah, this boss just kind of flies around everywhere. He has different kinds of RNG that can waste a lot of time. That's unfortunately one of the main things about this speedrun, is like, just RNG. There's a lot of RNG. A lot of very costly RNG. And all of it is compiled into the final boss of the game, which I'll explain at the cutscene when I get there. But first, before we get there, you know, it wouldn't be a Super Nintendo game without a boss rush, so let's plow through these guys real quick. And I'm gonna crouch here because the game remembers my hitbox. So now even though I'm standing and running, I still technically have the hitbox of crouching, like I explained before. Yeah, that double hit though. I find this boss like really difficult to react to when you don't know where he's spawning. Yo, he died off screen. What? That's a first. I wouldn't have even known if I didn't have sound. I've never seen that one before. That was pretty cool, actually. I got that clutch shockwave off screen. So yeah, you can actually double hit this guy in this state when he's dashing back and forth. But it involves being really precise with your sword hits and then jumping over and then hitting again. So one more crouch. And then on to the final boss, Gallagher. So, if there wasn't enough RNG in the game, this boss, literally every single pattern leaves him invulnerable except for one, and that's when he jumps, and that's like the most uncommon thing he does. So you can imagine if you're trying to get a good time in this game, that's like already a huge turn off. So I'm gonna do my best here to get rid of this guy as soon as possible. He is the HP absorber, so in the final phase of the fight, he'll throw these little green balls at me, and if he hits me, he takes back some health that he takes from me. Oh, I just realized I didn't grab any hearts, so dying in this game is actually really, really brutal. There are no checkpoints. If I actually die at this boss, I'm gonna have to do the whole entire boss rush over again. So, I need to be careful. It's really hard to be careful in this boss though, because should be good. There we go. Look at Luna's top hat. 1532, that is a really good time. My personal best for this is a 1504. And the record is like, oh, what is it? 14, 13? Something around there. That's held by Shinkenzu, who's actually a pretty big Smash player as well. It's kind of funny, one of my friends, Waffle, that's actually one of his good friends, so hey, small world. But he has a record of this game. He actually uses a better route as well that grabs more of those invincibilities that I was grabbing throughout the game, which can make that final boss a lot faster. And as you can imagine, with all the unhittable RNGs, you know, you pretty much want to stack up on those weapons. That was Super Valis 4. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a pretty underground game and nearly non-existent speedrun. I mean, there's only 3 submitted times, including myself.
And no surprise that I have snuck into the room.
Yeah, what's up, Seagull?
Oh, it's Joe. Thank you for the runs. You had Aladdin and Super Valis 4.
Oh,
Don't lie, when I saw Super Valis 4, my first thought was auto-scroller shooter. I don't know why. That was like a Gradius game. I have no idea where it came from.
Yeah, the Valis series is actually mostly on the PC, but I guess they decided to experiment porting a Super Nintendo game.
Pretty good, besides the hitboxes and the translation. But
Yeah, the translation is pretty, you know.
can't win them all, but at least they tried. I do thank you for the runs. Chat enjoyed them. The response is basically non-stop, just what? So, that went over pretty well.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. That was my last run here for the marathon, so yeah, thank you guys for everything.
And Joe, thank you for coming out and helping us out. Alright, folks, so we had 2 runs from Joe. We're coming up to Andy and the Link to the Past randomizer. So, you've probably seen Link to the Past already this marathon. I think you've seen it once or twice. But now we don't know what comes next. It's randomizer. So, what's in your uncle's chest? I have no idea. What do you get for killing the Moldrum? I guess it's good as mine.